Came from the pool in the park. Now we're
Yeah, so we just came from
the pool in the park.
From swimming in the park today, and all day.
Yeah.
I have to take my shower.
And I gotta take my bath.
Yeah, you gotta take your bath. You gotta take your bath.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to come on real quick and do a video about,
just
how I'm on my video about just how good God is. Like, seriously, like, God is so good, and while I'm doing the video. Yeah, God is so good, and He just comes through all the time. Like, I've recently been having some situations, some really very tested situations. Well, it's always a test, but like within the past month of this month that just passed, I had some really perplexing situations going on, and it was like as if God just worked like serious miracles to make things kind of like work out in my favor, like back to back, and I could only say it's God because the situations were just like really one of those things where it's like the impossible had to happen, and it was interesting because a couple weeks ago I had went to church, and it's so silly. I had went to church, and before I had went to church, I always look at my like vocabulary word, right? And there was my word for the day was moving mountains, and it was just like it was about basically how moving mountains was a vocabulary word, and it means achieving the impossible, right? So, and when I went to church that morning, that was basically what the sermon was about. Having faith as small as a mustard seed, that God can basically do the impossible, and that He can, move mountains in your life. And, after that, oh God, my nose, my allergies. After that sermon, that's exactly what pretty much happened for me, like within that next couple of weeks. God just like, seriously, sit back, Kobe. No, don't be rude. Yeah, so God just basically like did the impossible for me. And stop that. And he's being a stinker. Yeah, so God just basically like did the impossible for me. What I didn't even think, or what I did believe, like I did have faith, and that's kind of was the thing. Like I had to basically like let go and say, all right, God, this is what I'm faced with, right? But I can either choose to get stressed out and, lose faith and drive myself insane, or I can just choose to surrender and say, look, I trust you and I believe you're going to work this out for me. So I chose that, I chose that attitude and that way of thinking. And when I tell you, like, everything just lined up for me within like a couple weeks. And oh my God, I hate to rub my nose, but I have such bad allergies. But yeah, everything just lined up for me. And it was just really a blessing. And I just been like thanking God, like just saying, Lord, you are just so awesome. You are just so wonderful. You're so faithful. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, wow. You know, I'm just in awe, you know, at just how things came about and worked in my favor. So, you know, I say that to say, you know, whatever it is that you probably could be going through right now, you know, no matter how difficult it looks on the outside, you have to really just trust God. If you, especially, you know, if you are a believer and you have that type of relationship with God, you know, where you talk to Him and you pray and you believe in, you know, His power and His miracle working power, you know, then you can't be double-minded. You can't say you believe, can't say you have faith, and then when difficult situations come and arise, you're worried and you're stressed. And, you know, I used to be a person that used to get like very, very, like when things would happen, I would get really, really stressed out. Like the first thing I would do is just like get stressed, you know, and fall into this state of panic or, you know, hopelessness, or turn to things, you know, certain vices and things to just drown in my sorrows, you know what I mean? And I mean, I would still put forth action because, of course, faith without works, without actions is dead. It's in the Bible, you know, and I believe that. So I've always been a person that, you know, when things happen or whatever, okay, I'm in think mode. Like, what actions do I need to take, right? To, you know, basically I go into planning mode and I go into, you know, okay, make this call, do this, do that, or whatever, you know, to try to rectify this situation or to try to, you know what I mean? Like, try to figure out a way. But, a lot of times I used to do it in a state of stress and in a state of panic. And when you do it in those states, you know, it just makes the situation even more difficult, you know, because you're not sure of yourself and you already are kind of like having doubts and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, right? I don't know what the outcome is going to be. But for me in this situation this time, what I did differently than I've done in the past, I just surrendered. And I just said, you know, Lord, this is what I'm faced with. And I'm going to trust you and I'm going to walk with you and I'm going to know that no matter what happens, right, I believe that you're going to work it out in my favor. And once I did that, it just seemed like, and then I also still took actions, right? Took steps, right? Because you can't just expect God to do all the work and you do nothing. So I also took steps, but it just seemed like things just started to just align. And it was like, you know, God was directing me the whole way, you know, and everything just fell into place. And so, you know, I'm just forever grateful. You know, I'm forever thankful to God because, you know, it's just like I've seen the miracles that He's worked in my life. And that's how I know that He's real. You know, that's how I know that, you know, He can do all things. Because I've seen the things that He's done. And I've been placed with many different perplexing situations. And I've witnessed Him deliver me from them all, you know, and help me navigate through them all. So, you know, that's my message for the day. Not a long message. I'm about to take my shower because I'm tired. And I got to get my little man in the bath and get him settled. But you want to say bye on the video?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.